Today I'm reading chapter 19 of Out of Touch, Out of Time, Ray X, Female Listener. I hope you enjoy! Chapter 19, The Fight. Dawn and Gilda walked down the staircase. There wasn't a sight of any other children around, not even Mom. Suddenly, Dawn took a sharp turn, confusing Gilda. "But Dawn, that way is," she said, following behind him as he led her to Mom's office door. "Are you really thinking about going in there?" Gilda asked. "I can't stay calm like them. I need to know the real Mom," Dawn said, staring at the door. Gilda gave him a worried look and then nodded. Dawn knocked on the office door and then slowly opened it. He and Gilda both walked in nervously and looked around. Dawn walked over to the bookshelf at the wall and placed his hand on it. "There's a hidden door behind you," he said, trying to push the shelf to reveal behind it, but it wouldn't budge. "Why won't it move?" Dawn asked, annoyed, punching it. "It won't move! We have to hurry up and save Connie as soon as possible," he said again. "Maybe take a closer look at the shape," Gilda said. She pushed the bookshelf to the side, causing it to reveal Mom's secret room. "Let's go," Dawn said with a determined look, turning to the doorknob. "It's locked," he said. Suddenly, the office door began to creak open slowly, leaving Gilda and Dawn in serious panic to reveal... "Phil?" Dawn asked, confused as to why the little boy wandered into the room with a smile. "Shh," he said, holding up his finger to his mouth, slightly closing the door. "I'm playing hide-and-seek with Natalie and Eugene," he said. Gilda and Dawn let out a sigh of relief. "Oh, I see," Gilda said thankfully. Meanwhile, Emma, Norman, Ray, and you were all in the bedroom still. "So," Norman said, "the next thing we need to investigate is..." "Outside," everyone said at the same time. "We already know most of what's outside of the house, and training is going well. The tracking devices can be broken, which leaves learning about the outside, and if we can outmaneuver the adults. Once that's done, we can clear the wall for sure," Ray said, sitting down on the bed next to you. "Next is checking out our escape route," Emma said. "The escape we planned out consists of 3 steps," Norman said, pacing back and forth. 1, we get over the wall and escape. 2, we get away from this farm as soon as possible. And 3, establish a way to survive outside and become self-relevant. We have everything we need to pass the first step. As for the second, the outside is key. When we leave, we should run as far as we can, so let's examine and prepare," Norman said. "We need information about the outside area," Ray said. "When I climbed up that big tree, I saw a really big forest," Emma said. "Okay, but we gotta confirm stuff like that," Ray said. "Okay, let's look into it tomorrow," Norman said. You and Emma nodded. "Okay," you say with a smile. "Yeah, there's one more thing I wanted to show you guys," Emma said, leaving the 3 confused. "I have someone I want you to meet," she said with a grin. She led the 3 to the library and she threw a book down from a high shelf, opening it. "Right here," she said, pointing at a symbol of an owl and a name. "Mr. William Minerva?" Norman read out loud. Emma nodded. "Who's he?" you asked, walking over to Norman and Emma to get a better look. "I don't know. All I know is that he was the former owner of all of these books," Emma said, jumping down from the ladder. "But I think it's possible he could be on our side," Emma continued. "What do you mean?" Norman asked. "He's been delivering certain messages through these books. Not just a few books, lots of them," Emma said, throwing her hands in the air with excitement. After the 4 found all of Mr. William Minerva's books, they opened them all on the table. "This symbol is a book plant," you say, examining the book. "It's a label that indicates the book's owner before it came here," you continue. "What's the message?" Norman asked you as you shrugged. "Look closer," Emma said. "They all have the same owl?" Norman said, examining them even closer. "Wait, no!" It's a circle. It's Morse code, Norman said, looking up at his friends. Ray smiled and put his thumb up. Correct, he said. The four sat down together at the table, trying to break the secret message in the books. It says, run, Norman says, breaking the first one. And this one says doubt, you say, pointing at another one. This one says danger, and the last one says truth. But still, these don't mean, Norman said, getting cut off by Emma. Hey guys, what about these ones? She says, carrying over a few more books and setting them down on the table. These ones say Harvest, Monster, Farm, Norman said. It's a message for us from the outside world, hidden away from the adults and demons. I think we can trust these, Ray said. Are you sure? Norman asked nervously. Unlike her, I'm more suspicious, Ray said, putting his fist on Emma's head, making you giggle. This Minerva guy could really be an ally to us right now, you say. But we don't know if he's dead or alive, so we shouldn't get our hopes up, Ray said. You're always so negative. Let's at least hope there's someone out there who can help us, you say, lightly hitting Ray on the shoulder. I just have to think realistically. Both you and Emma hate doing that, he says, putting his arm around your shoulder. We just think on the bright side, you say, slightly annoyed. William Minerva. This man outside knows about the farm, and even though he indirectly tries to help us, Norman said. That's right, Emma said with a smile. There's an ally on the outside, and he still might be there. In which case, if that's true, there might be a society of humans too, Norman said with a smile. Exactly, Emma said. These kind of messages are only in Minerva's book. I don't know when these labels were attached, but at least we know that this one was attached after the year 2015, Emma says, holding up a book. I see. Is there anything else we can figure out? Like, is there something in common all the books share? Norman asked. Not much. The genres are varied, Ray said. What about these two books? We don't understand the Morse code on these two, Emma said, pointing at a purple and a green covered book. One of them is an adventure novel, and the other is a confusing mythology book that not even Ray can understand, you say, standing behind Norman's chair as he opened a book. There's no Morse code on this one. As for the other one, he said, picking up the second book, trying to read the Morse code. It says, promise? What does that mean? He asked. Promise? You asked, confused. I'm pretty sure there is a meaning. The pages are different, Emma said. You think these two are special? Norman asked. Yeah, I have a feeling they will become important guides for us, she said. Based on what? Ray asked. A hunch, Emma said. Ray rolled his eyes and sighed. What's with that face? Emma asked. I think it's something to look into, Mr. Minerva and his mysterious books, Norman said, standing up. And we're not just gonna run away. We're gonna find a way for us to survive in this world, Emma said with a smile, as you and Norman nodded. Let's run away, you say with determination. Let's live, no matter what the world is like outside, Norman said. The four put back all the books away safely as they walked down the stairs. I'm kinda surprised. I would expect Ray to find the books, Norman said. How the heck did you even manage to find them, Emma? Ray said. Oh, it wasn't me who noticed them. It was Phil, she said, walking ahead of the three. Phil? You ask. Yep, he was the one who told me. He was reading a kid's book and so happened to be one of Mr. Minerva's. It was a book that had Morse code in it, Emma said, as the four finally made it to the dinner hall. Wait, guys, where's Don and Gilda? You ask, searching around the room for them. Norman ran into the pantry to find them. They aren't here either, he said. Oh no, you say nervously. Suddenly, steps were heard walking towards the dinner table, and the four ran to see. It was Don and Gilda with guilty faces. Don looked extremely angry. Don, Gilda, you call, waving your hand. Thank goodness you're both okay, Emma said. Ray stormed up to the pair. Where were you? Ray asked bluntly. After dinner, Emma, Norman, you, Ray, Dawn, and Gilda gathered in the dinner hall that was lit by 3 lanterns. You stood behind Emma and Norman, who sat at the table. Ray leaned against the wall in the background. Well? Ray asked, annoyed. We were just in Mom's secret room, okay? Dawn said, looking at the ground. You, Emma, and Norman gasped. How? Emma asked. Dawn stole the key, Gilda said. He what? You asked angrily. Wait, did Mom see you? Norman asked. I don't think so. We already returned it, so probably, Gilda said quietly. Ray sighed. That was a stupid move, he shouted at the pair. Did you even stop to think if the room had cameras or microphones? If Mom or Crone found out what you two did, you would be... No, all of us would be, Ray said. Tell me what would happen, Ray, Dawn said with an angry stare. Ray furrowed his eyebrows. Would we all get killed? Dawn asked, glaring at Ray. That question gave you the shivers up your spine. When we searched the room, we found little Bunny. You kept us hopeful. So much for, I don't know, and let's go save them, Dawn said, putting his fist on the table before standing up. Can we even save them? He asked. Because they're all Connie and everyone else, Dawn said. Emma's expression turned worry. I'm sorry, I'm really sorry, Emma said, making Gilda grow even more worried. You started feeling seriously guilty. So they really are, Gilda trailed off. See, Gilda? They were lying to us all along. What are you hiding? Tell us the whole truth, Dawn said to Emma. Emma stood up, and you did too. She walked over to Ray, who stood beside him. Norman nodded at Emma, and they turned to Dawn and Gilda. So you're saying we were raised to be eaten? And Ray was a spy the whole time? Dawn asked. For our sake, you added. Then Ray, you knew what was going on and what happened to Connie that day. And Emma and Norman, you all tried to trick us and take us into the world full of enemies. Yasmin, you knew what happened to Connie and didn't tell me? Dawn said and sighed. It was silent for a moment before Dawn started laughing quietly. Then it grew louder and louder. Suddenly, Dawn threw a punch at Norman, knocking him straight onto the floor, causing you to gasp at his actions. Norman! You and Emma shouted at the same time. Seriously? Dawn yelled. Ray walked up to Dawn. Hey, Dawn, stop, he yelled angrily at Dawn. Before Ray could say anything more, Dawn punched Ray right in the face. You gasped and ran over to Ray, who was now on the floor. Ray, are you all right? You asked, panicked, holding his face. You got up and ran over to Dawn. Dawn, stop it! You're acting insane! You yell at him, pushing him. Dawn grabbed you by the collar of your shirt and punched you right in the face. The punch was so hard you fell onto your side. Dawn picked up Emma by the collar too and was about to punch her, but let her go. Emma stepped back and stood in front of Dawn. Ray got up from the floor and knelt down beside you. Are you okay? He asked, brushing some hair behind your ear and helping you up. Your face was slightly bruised like Ray's, and your lip was bleeding. I'll be fine, you whisper with a small smile. Ray wrapped his arms around your shoulders and stepping back a bit from Dawn, who was acting insane at this point. Are we that much of a burden? Dawn asked, staring at the ground. Are we that weak and useless to you four that you can't go without protecting us? That time you asked us for help, I thought you really were relying on us. Was that a lie too? Dawn asked, on the verge of tears. I know we're not as smart as you four, but we're family, aren't we? He asked, now crying. I just want you to have a little faith in us, he cried. Dawn took a deep breath and continued. I'm sorry for acting a little weird right now. I need to go cool down. I'm going outside, he said, and left the room, followed by Gilda. Dawn and Gilda were standing outside by the tree on the frosty grass in their slippers. Honestly, that was just me taking it out on them, Dawn said sadly. I'm not mad because they're treating us like weaklings. I have no reason to be. I'm just upset because I couldn't do anything to save Connie or the others, he said, breaking down again. I'm so ignorant and powerless. I'm frustrated because I really am weak. Damn it. It's so frustrating, he said before going onto his knees crying. Gilda walked over to Dawn and put her hand on his back. I want to be stronger, Dawn said sadly. Yeah, I know, Gilda said. Emma, Norman, Ray, and you ran outside with a lantern looking at the pair. Dawn, Gilda, Emma called. Emma, Gilda said, turning around. Look, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. I was ready for you to resent me, but not at all to believe in you. Emma said, Me too. Sorry, Norman said, bowing. Also me too, you say, bowing as well. Well, I shouldn't have punched you guys like that. Are you guys okay? I'm sorry, Dawn says, bowing as well. I'll be alright, Norman said with a smile. Us too, you say with a smile, referring to yourself and the raven-haired boy holding your hand. It was a bad idea to act on our own. I'm sorry, Gilda said. Yeah, of course, Ray would get mad, so please forgive us, the two said as they bowed. Of course we will, you say with a smile. Norman turned around to you and Ray. Ray had an annoyed look on his face. Well, will you? Norman asked Ray. He didn't answer and sighed. You hit him lightly on the arm and gave him a glare. Yeah, I'll forgive them, he said, annoyed. If the worst happens, I'll figure out how to deal with it, he sighed. I should also apologize for the other things I did. I'm sorry, Ray said, bowing. Now that you two know the truth, I need to confirm something with both of you. The outside world is full with demons. If we mess up, we will die. Even knowing that, will you still come along? Emma asked. Gilda and Dawn gave each other a glance and nod. Of course we will, they say. As everyone was chatting, Ray felt eyes burning into the back of his head. He quickly looked around, but there was nothing. What's wrong, Ray? You ask. Nothing. Thought I saw something. Let's go inside before you catch a cold, he said, putting his hand on your shoulder. Yeah, you're right. I don't want to be sick when we escape, you said. Is your bruise okay? I can get you a bandage and some ice, you say, rubbing your thumb over his bruise. I thought the knight was supposed to save and look after the princess, Ray said with a smirk. I can't believe you're still quoting that game we played a week ago with Jemima and the others, you say, rolling your eyes as you both walk inside the warm home. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. Have a good night, day, evening, whatever. I love you guys so much. Goodbye.